Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Feminine Legacy Podcast. This is your host, Jackie Ma. And today I want to talk to you about a topic that is so dear to my heart, and it is really about parental sovereignty. And this will be a very, very touchy subject for a lot of people, but I'm going to give you a really clear, dynamic, spiritual perspective to grasp the full propensity of what it means for a parent to exert divine will and stay true to the self in relationship to children. And I'm going to be speaking today about a specific ideology, a specific experience that is very prevalent right now on the planet. And so that's why it's going to be touch and go for some people. And you may have never heard this angle before. And with respect, it needs to be heard, it needs to be anchored within me, within the collective. And so I'm here to offer an opportunity if you have lost the reins of sovereignty or stepped off um, your sense of authenticity and sense of true self to adhere to the will of your children, then this is a really important message for you. So, as parents, we want so much to show up for our families, for our children, and this could be extended to our partners. But I'm just going to use this really as a dialogue with parents and children because this is one of the biggest ways in which we can become compromised because our hearts are bleeding heart open for our loved ones, right? As moms, we want to protect, we want to provide, we want to preserve. As parents, I'm saying mom because I am one. And so we will do everything to Mama Bear, to Papa Bear to be like, show up for our babies and for them always to feel strengthened and supported by us. I think that's what the majority of parents who are truly parenting want. And it can become really, really confusing when our children are moving through their life journey and having different life experiences. And right now, specifically, we are at a very, very incredibly vast tipping point of the darkness and the light. And these are these opportunities for us as beings who've come to Earth to explore and to grow, of like how to really, really see where we have not fully owned our power and our sovereignty, and where we can easily like succumb or give our power or authority away. And when we do that, we allow other people to step in to the lives of our children and show up in a way where we're no longer showing up for them. And that none of us really want that. But there's a lot of confusion about how that works. So I just want to say to you, as from one parent to another, it is so deeply important that we stay on the throne, like really, really hold it down. There's the king and the queen, and there's the child, right? And then eventually the child develops their own king and queen and they hold their own inner child. But so for each one of us, that's a dynamic inside of all of us. And we need to really, really adhere to that, whatever that is, like that high divine alignment, that place of truth where we are seated. And then no matter what's going on around us with our families, with our children, we're able to hold the line, like hold the anchor point of love, of truth, of honesty. And when our children come to us and they are in their experience, they're going to have a big, vast experience just as we chose to. Our job is to be really present and allow the expression of their experience in whatever way they're going to do that. And half the time it's going to look cray cray because it did with us and our parents. And just be present. Like, we're going to have all kinds of feelings that come up, shock, awe, all the things that that we haven't digested yet in ourselves or collectively. And it's okay. It's okay to have feelings when your kids are coming to you with stuff. So we're going to use the I'm coming out, I'm gay, I'm bi, I don't know what I am, I'm confused, I'm trans, whatever the story is. Your kid comes home and they tell you that they are feeling something or that they're this thing. Um, that's happening more times than not right now. It doesn't mean that it's true what's happening. It just means that the youth, the child, is has some curiosity. There's something arising. Who knows? Maybe there's a million reasons why it could be coming up. It could be a genuine curiosity. Like, it's all good. Whatever it is, just allow it to arise and just be present. And now, the child in the generation that we're in, they're going to look for words to identify with what they are because they're searching for identity. That's what they're doing at this age. So they're like, I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm trans, I'm pan, like whatever the lingo is that is siphoning out into the collective field, they're just picking it up and implementing it. They don't actually know who they are. They are in search of becoming, right? We're just like we were. We were like looking for identity. For me, it was I was a Guidette, or I was a metalhead, or I was gangster, like whatever it was. We're always looking for that thing to figure out, like, oh, am I that? Am I that? It's a natural part of the process. But in the distortion of our world, when we're like growing up looking for belonging instead of like inherently looking for who we are, that can become confusing. So your kids come out and say that they're this thing. Oftentimes it could also be a shock and awe. There can be a lot going on. So, first, I just want to say to you, mothers and fathers, it's okay for you to have feelings that are like, oh shit, like, I don't know that I want that to be the case. It's okay for you to have a full bandwidth and process of emotions. I did when my son was coming out to me when he was very young. And you will have if you're not bypassing, you will have feelings. It doesn't matter how cool you are, how open you will have inherently a rise of subconscious programming that will take you to the next level of, oh shit, how do I protect the one that I love? This is like an absolute. And if you're not, then I'm surprised. But this is an absolute. And it might show up in many different ways because I have parents that are coming now that are experiencing this and they need a safe space without the propaganda bullshit. I just want to be really clear to experience yourself as having feelings and curiosity towards people of the same sex or to anything, to be wanting to be curious or experimenting. That does not mean you are that thing. In reality, we gave a label to that thing, and we needed to do that for a time because we needed to push rights, right? Like, folks needed to be able to get married, to be able to receive benefits when their loved ones dies. We needed to like even the score out so that humanity could experience loving who they love and be supported and protected in that relating, just like people who we would call heterosexual, right? Like if you're married to, if I was married to a man and he passed away, cancel and delete, that I would be acknowledged as his wife legally and then be able to receive the benefit of the insurance. These are important things in the lives of people. So, for same sex couples and so forth, this is important. So, that push in our collective consciousness to be able to make things more right and just was really essential. But as far as I'm concerned now, everything is kind of even Steven. And now everybody gets to go and be, live in whatever way they want to live and be in harmony and be at peace with that. There's really no such thing. I don't sense that there is an urgency to fight for anything any longer. There is now a chance for you to love, to actually do the things that the movements are trying to bring forth, supposedly, and just love one another. Like, love your partner, love who you love, be curious about who you're going to be curious about without the labels and without um, the propaganda. So, the important thing is when your kid comes and shares this with you, just being a loving anchored parent, a queen on your throne, and holding it down and just being sincere and loving, if that's how you can be. And you can then go process your grief, anger, rage, fear, pain, whatever you're feeling, somewhere else. You can process that with me. I have a paid service for that. um, and that's perfect. Like, there's nothing wrong with you for having feelings about whatever's arising. It is absolutely divine. You are a human being in a human experience, and it's perfectly natural and normal for you to have a response and for your ancestral body to have a response. Like, some of these things are new or not so new, but there's a lot of things that are arising. So, first and foremost, parents, you have a right to your goddamn feelings. And it's important that you process them separately away from your child and just be as present as you can, and allow whatever language comes up for you. And what you can't plan these things, like they have to just come naturally. Like my dialogue with mine when he came out, and I think he was like, I want to say 11 or 13. um, and there was a very loving and very strong dialogue that I had with him that I won't get into here, but he knew that I was on his team. But I wasn't on the gay team. I wasn't on the gay team or the A team. I wasn't on the bi team. I was on his team. And as his mother, I was there to just hold the line for whatever it is he needs. I didn't get really caught up in much. Like, all right, let's see how this plays out now. Like he trusts me enough to share it with me. Freaking great. And I it's not my job. What we're seeing the world do now, which is very concerning, which is why I'm making this video, is as soon as a parent comes out, which generally seems to be online now, they start to get pimped. So all of these groups with these agendas and these well-meaning people step in and they're like, let me give you a pamphlet. Like, let me direct you so that you have supported to like beam in the rainbow and help your child in this particular way. The reality is, your child doesn't need any of their help. Your child needs you to just hold the line, be the queen, and be present for whatever arises. It is not your job or my job to project that now you're gay, and so I'm personally going to put you in an envelope that's rainbow and start to associate you with an entire group of people that I don't even know, and project what the collective mass is projecting, which is an ideology. It is a separation that makes you somehow different from your brothers and sisters who might have sex with people that are different from them. It also puts you into a stereotype, an archetype of something that, why can't you just be free do, to experience or be curious or love whoever you want to without all the propaganda? So I'm all for the freedom of folks loving and being and expressing however they want, from the true essence of genuine respect for the soul, which is, we are none of these labels. We are none of these things. So you don't have to be like, I don't walk around and be like, my son is gay. I don't even know if he identifies as that, but I'm not going to identify him as that. But there was a time when I thought that that was appropriate, and now I don't. And it's not because I don't have respect for people that are gay. I have total respect for you, and that's why I don't feel like it's appropriate for me to exclude you or separate you in any way, to make you any different from me, or to make you believe that you have to stay the same. Like, I want you to be totally free. If my son changes his mind and ends up marrying a woman, awesome. If he marries a man, awesome. Like, whatever he does, I'll be at the first, in the front seat at the chapel or wherever we are, because it probably wouldn't be there. Anyway, so um that is what feels so liberating and true. For people who are really on passive liberation, we want to break free of all the shackles and everything that keeps us from expressing our love and our sexuality in whatever way we want to. And that's really your business. So that's the first part of this. So for parents, you don't have to affirm shit. Your love is the presence that is affirming. And now I'm going to get into the affirming piece. So, first, it's okay, let me hold the line. For me, it was like, oh, and I'll just give you like a tiny smidgen of my experience. For me, there was no question. My whole body was like, I love you. I got you. I don't give a shit what you do. You're my boy. And however you're going to rock this out, I'm by your side. Okay? And then I had the whole other bodily response that, holy shit, I need to go cry, I'm afraid, like all the feelings coming up. And so I was done hanging out with him, and I hightailed it to the car, and I erupted like a volcano. Like, I don't even know what half of what it was, but most of it was fear. It was fear for his safety. And so then I had to move through that. My job to do, my work to do. and perfect. There is no reason why in this society there's like this idea now that like being inclusive means that you're not meant to have regular parent feelings. You need to have feelings. It's totally okay. So if you're having them, just trust and trust. You're loved. It's okay. You're not a bigot. You're not a bad person. You're human, and this is natural. And there's nothing wrong with your feelings. If you're mad, if you're angry, if you're sad, it's okay. Just contain and be in a space with a friend or a trusted somebody or a me, and have your experience. Empty, you got to empty out. It's subconscious programming that's pouring through the body. Great. And nothing is permanent. That's why we want to really open up the space. I don't even call myself straight. I know the world wants to make me like cis and straight. I do not consent to any of these labels. Fuck off with your labels. I am free. I decide when, who, what, all the time, all day, and I'm not involved in any of your groups. Fuck your groups. I'm not allowing, excuse my French with all this, but you need to be able to see the severity of when we adopt entire belief systems and archetypes and structures. My work now is to get free, free to love. I don't need to owe any explanation to you. I don't need to carry your flag. There's no benefit to me doing that other than to further capture myself. And so, parents, if you're doing that, your kids come out to you, it doesn't mean that you have to support them by like, let's pull out the flags and let's get t-shirts and just slow your roll. Don't adopt a personification. Like, you don't have to do that, because when you do that, you actually are trying to anchor it. It's like screwing something down into granite and like really, really anchoring it. And number one, it's not your job to do. This child and this being has a right to have its full experience. And your job is to just hold it down and witness. And suppose they're saying something that you know isn't true. I mean, because that's happening a lot. A lot of these kids are not gay. A lot of these kids are not trans. They're confused. They have questions. They don't understand. Fuck, I'm 47 and my sexuality is still a great mystery to me. So believe me, at their age, they are still like trying to understand hormones, the fluctuation of their elements. It's kind of a big deal. And then the entire world around them, they're being penetrated literally on the internet, at school, they're being bombarded everywhere. So sometimes they're just taking in information and they don't even like they don't know about a trusted source yet because they haven't really anchored in their own sense of identity. So they're just trying clothes on. Let them fucking handle it. So it's important that you don't magnify and amplify in your well-meaning heart to be like a solid, loving parent. Let me anchor this infrastructure in, because a lot of these kids are going to change their mind in a month or 3 years from now. Let that be the case. And if you are one of the ones who anchors in with them and affirms them to be a specific name or a specific something, even if you saw it coming, like for me, I saw it coming since my son was really young, but that doesn't mean that I'm like, that's my job to do. Like, let them move through their phases, because when they change their mind, they're going to be worried about letting you down. They're going to think like they've become so identified then with the character that they're playing. And now here's where the spiritual significance coming in. We all are trying on different masks through our entire incarnation. And when we swap them out, we pick up new ones. And only those that are really trying to like get free, like just want to take them all off and just, which is why I'm like, no names, no titles, like, not interested. So a lot of these kids who are coming out as trans, for example, this is like a moment in time. It's most of the time not real. Again, they're moving through something mentally that they're healing, that they're growing through. So instead of affirming, which I know most of our Western medical, Western medical complex is doing right now, there's a reason they're doing that. And I'm going to get into that in a minute, but that is not your work to do. That is not your work to do, because now there's a lot more on the table. There's a lot more. There's greater risks on the table by affirming. And so your job is not to affirm, your job is to love. Like, somebody comes over to me, if somebody says to me, My clients come and they're like, I'm a psychopath. Like, I'm horrible. I'm so guilty. I'm not going to be like, you totally are. You are a psychopath. I would never say that. I would never be like, you're so horrible. You're right. It's all your fault. Everything's your fault. That is not my job to do. This person is moving through something. My job to do is hold the line, love them, and be like, either that's not true at all, you're being lied to, or with a child, I would just say, I'm here, whatever, I'm here for you and I love you no matter what. Like, that's pretty much the essential. I still love you the same. I'm still on your team. It's all good. Let's just keep the lines of communication open with me. We're here. So that's the first piece. Now, again, it's contradictory to what the world is telling you, and I'm going to tell you why now. And here's the place where it starts to get like, oh, Jackie, I don't know if I want to know all this, but it's important that you know, because I know and I've learned it so that I can pass it on to you. And if you want to take it and you feel the truth in what I'm saying, then amen. Then you can get the wisdom before you can actually adhere to the wisdom without having to go through the horror of the experience, or maybe you need to go through it. I don't know. Either way, I want you to learn. So when we affirm, it is because we have adopted an ideology that is fear based. So, right now, the major theme that is being promoted in the masses is these kids will kill themselves if you don't affirm them. Like, if they don't get surgeries, if you don't affirm who they are. This is called a master illusion, it's an inversion. It is a spiritual dilemma that captivates and entrances parents, manipulates them at a very, very deep soul level, which actually makes you commit suicide. Because when we are not in our throne and we offer our authority, it's the biggest, darkest game that manipulates the heart of parents who care so much about their kids. And because they can be so fear based and become so desperate by the overall ideology of what is being promoted, in the fear, they give over their sovereignty. And it is horrible. It's so sad because, again, these people are well meaning. And so it's like it shows you as parents where we're very susceptible or vulnerable when it comes to our children, that we would cross the line and move out of the truth of who we are to embrace or step into something that's not, one, it's not ours to step into, and two, it's not ours to affirm. It's not our place. And for most people, is that true? Yes, for most people, we know if something is new, if there's a new disease, like if my kids or my friends come to me and they're like, because they read on the internet that they have symptoms that match a certain type of illness, let's say bipolar or something. As soon as they come to me with that and are like, I think I am, and this is what a lot is happening with the internet, because we have access to so much information that folks feel like they can self-diagnose, and people really want to like have something wrong with them. They want to like, one, sometimes there is something inside of us that wants to pinpoint that something is wrong, and sometimes the sickness mentally is that something, we just think something's always wrong with us. So there's many reasons for that, but then they self-diagnose and then like kind of go to somebody else, just like all these doctors who diagnose ADHD and, I mean, like a million different things, and there's no way, there's no test that actually can diagnose you. It's literally just looking at some symptoms and then making a call. And then when you do that, you label and you curse somebody, and somebody ingests that and takes that into them, and then that's who they are. They become one with that identity. This is the same thing with autoimmune diseases. I hear people all the time like, my autoimmune disease. It's like they're talking about their freaking purse. I'm like, can you stop owning that shit? Is like, it's literally, it's you just ingested all the curses that are being flung around in the collective, and now you are wearing it and you're holding on to it like it's yours. It's like, oh, because of my autoimmune disease, I'm like, I know that you don't know this, so I'm just saying it's icky if you think about it. like my cancer, cancel and delete. Like it doesn't belong to you. Like it is something that's moving through you. Let that shit move on out and don't claim it as yours. You don't have to walk with it like it's your partner. So I digressed. I want to get back now to talking about how this works. So it's an inversion. So psychologically, they they send out this fear signal, and then parents are like, oh shit, I got to make sure that I'm here loving my kid. Let me affirm them. And when you don't believe in it yourself, because why would you believe in anything like that? Like, why? Let's say that your kid says they're trans. First of all, they're really, really young. And we know that a lot of kids that are coming down with the ideology of trans is there's actually many spiritual reasons that I'm not going to get in here. That's another video. But there's an openness to and a persuasion that is happening and that people are taking into them. And so it doesn't mean that it's true. It just means it's a moment in time. And there's some form of a mental perversion that is operating. And that doesn't mean I'm saying that these people are perverted. I'm saying that the perversion existed in the energetic fields and that these beautiful beings are being exploited at some level. And instead of just allowing them to have experiences or expressing themselves, it is now it's a whole other thing. So the idea is the suicide is an inversion. So it actually is a suicide that's happening at an energetic level because you just gave away your authority and power. So you gave away your soul power. It's not like somebody else is capturing it and keeping it, but they are feeding off of it, and now you don't have it anymore. So the very thing that you needed to be as a parent to hold and steward that life, you have stepped back and you're no longer in authority. Like you're no longer holding that protection that you so deeply wanted for that child. And now that child is at the mercy of their own, of whatever it is that has captivated them. You see what I'm saying? So you're actually not on their team anymore because you have lost the best interest of them, but it's unconscious. It's really, really heartbreaking, actually. What these kids, it makes us very submissive. And then we become easily moved by the masses. And then we feel like we have to fight for an agenda or a purpose. And if you know more about what's happening with that, then you'll understand that there's a stripping away of dignity. And everybody becomes identified with being something that they're not. And you have to understand really where I know this could be very triggering for some people, but because if you want to be gay or you want to be straight or you want to be, but you're fucking none of these things. So to identify as them, like, the kid can identify, but as parents, we like as adults, I think for those that want to get free, you know better. Like, who cares? Like it's all political agenda anyway. Well, the rights are already there. Why don't you just allow yourself to relish in the love that and the free choice that you have to do what you want? And so understand the spiritual mechanism. This is a play for you, for your souls. I mean, that's what this is. This is a play for your souls. And I would like to see us learn the lessons before our children are completely castrated and before we are no longer in alignment with life and like literally not being able to feed your children grow up. And because this took place, and I'm not saying it would ever be your fault, I would be saying that, wow, everybody stepped out of authority and something like came through that was, whoa, I mean, huge soul lessons, but it's a soul suicide. um, because doing something, that it is, if you look at it this way, because it's whatever you're doing actually isn't being done through love. It's being done through fear. Suicide is fear. You're not doing it because, oh my God, I love them so much and I believe so much in this. You know good and well when you are in your right mind, if you are not mentally ill in this moment, if you want to cut off your breasts or your penis or remove your vagina, something is out of alignment. It doesn't make you bad. It makes you our brothers and sisters. It makes you a sibling. It makes you lovable in all the ways, but it doesn't make you healthy, period. And that doesn't mean that that can't change in a minute because all of us move through different spaces. of temperament, of mental anguish, whatever it is. You're human, you have every right to be loved, and you are included, but you don't have to be included into anybody else's group. You can just be who you are. And I know that there's a strong sense of like, but this is who I am. But all of us, I thought I was freaking Ginger from Gilligan's Island. I mean, you couldn't tell me anything. I wouldn't get out of that shower with that shower curtain. I want to be loved by you. And I believed I was Ginger. I wasn't Ginger. I was Jackie. And no matter how hard it was when I went through my tomboy phase and I looked like a little fat boy, I was still a girl. I was still Jackie. And there's a million reasons why folks are going through these things. So there's so much compassion and so much love. And that is the heart of things. It's not right, wrong, or virtue signaling. It is absolutely love. Freedom for your soul. Freedom for you to choose. Freedom for you to do whatever you need to do. And the truth is, P.S. I want to be clear. If you're an adult and you want to go have surgeries and you believe that's the path for you, handle your business. I totally support you doing that. What I'm not supporting is affirming children or really anybody. Like if my friends, I have friends of all walks of life, I'm never going to be like, you are this thing because it's not true for me. So I have to hold the line. This is sovereignty, y'all. It's not, understand this. Sovereignty does not mean like I'm not close minded, as you can see. I'm actually super open hearted and I love all these beings and I could care less. What I'm not open hearted to is exploitation or leaving the center. So just because you believe that you're that thing, that's great that you believe that. I have nothing but love for you. You coming over for dinner? But don't you dare tell me that I have to believe it too. Because if I step out of the crest of who I am, then I give away my authority. I betray myself. And guess what happens when I betray myself? And if I betray myself for somebody, for my child, that's hard. That's a hard line to walk. And I have, well, actually, I haven't, but we do these little subtle things where we're like, let me stretch a little more because this is what the culture's doing. Let me stretch a little bit more. If that shit is perverted and you know it's not true for you, you cannot in sound heart and mind stand for it. You have to hold the line. And the manipulation and the tactic that's being used, the bureaucratic bullshit, is that you're not inclusive, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're all these things. You are none of those things. You are sovereign and you are totally in of yourself, honoring what is true for you. That is what is a divine principle. This is what is divine. This is your kids will thank you for this. And if they don't, it doesn't even matter because your soul will thank you because you're going to be able through your prayer and through your power to hold the line for that youth while they're going through these tremendous tumultuous identity times. You can still love them and be like either no to this, like nope, sorry, and none of this is easy. So I just want to say that I've been through my own walk with it, and I guess I still kind of am at a certain level. But I just really want parents to know that there is a very pervasive darkness that is moving through our collective consciousness, and we do have a role in it. And we have a responsibility to the times that we're in, not to fall prey to the collective masses, but to stay. This is like the biggest test for parents. The more provocative, the more pervasive the darkness becomes in the outer world, we get to see, whoa, what is the light that we're going to bring and stand in our own families? Because let me tell you something, and I mean it with my whole heart. When you open the doorway to the sheep in wolf's clothing, and I'm not saying it because I'm afraid, I'm saying it because I care, you have to really, really fine tune your discernment. Really fine tune it. This is not a day and age where things can be taken as lightly generally. Like you have to listen to what is true for you. Do not step off that throne. You can be the most loving, most compassionate, most deeply protective and nurturing parent. Stay on the throne, no matter how enticing it is, no matter how much your children are like, Look at me. My new name is such and such, my this, my that. If you get on board with that and it's not true for you and it's not true for anyone, then, and the reason I say that, there's very few that actually it is true for, but the reason I say that is because it's not your truth to share. It's their experience. You can only know what is yours. You have to stay true to what is your experience. Creator gave each one of us our own sense of self, our own lifeline. If you step out into belonging, if you step out of yourself, I mean, those are your soul's lessons. But the bottom line is, let's mitigate this shit. Like, cut this shit off. Learn the lesson very gently from the beginning. I'm here for you. I love you. If you're feeling that way right now, you're experiencing that, I love you. I'm here for you. Great. So, and the next piece I'll say is you have to be really, really careful about who you let in. So it's much different today than it was back in the day. I remember back in the day, I didn't self-source as much. Well, to a certain degree I did. And when this arose for me and my family, I was like, oh, do you need something? Like, I kind of thought, do you need some sort of a resource? Therapy was kind of a big thing. I was like, you want to go to therapy? Um, and then I was like, do you need to talk to people that like are experiencing this? Like, I just genuinely wanted to help. And it was really funny and not, because I ended up going to a PFLAG meeting, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. Um, it was, with respect, it's all good. It was horrific for me. Like, I was like, this is not at all for me. Like, we got this. I'm good. My kid is good. And what I experienced there, this was, I don't know, wait, if I'm 47 and he was like, let's just average it to 12 years old. Um, I can't do the math right now. That was a long time ago, though. And the internet wasn't like it is now. So there was much less influence. So what was happening was actually genuine. Like, there was nobody at school that was like out of the closet. He was like the first one, and fully supported, But my point being is, there I knew that that wasn't for me. And then funny is that I was like, oh, maybe you need to talk to somebody too. So I found out about this organization. I don't remember who it was now. And I took him and dropped him off. And when I picked him up, he was like, whoa. I remember his face when he got in the car, like, holy shit. Like, he just got exposed to a whole world of things that he had never needed to see before. Like, he was a little shook up. He was like, holy shit. And he was like, those kids, like half of those kids, their parents were not interested. And so he saw like a whole other side. And maybe he needed to see that, right? That he had this loving family that was strengthening him. But there was this overarching like devastation, like sadness and like woe to the state of the kids that were operating in that state, because they didn't have the love and support. And to those parents, I mean, all I can say is, we live in a big world, and it's not your job or my job to like push a message. It's just our job to love and embrace the people that are around us. If you have some sort of an MO or an agenda because you're a savior and you want to save gay kids from killing themselves, I just want to tell you a fucking reality. Kids all over the world, whether they're gay, whether they're straight, whether they're Chinese, whether they're white, whether they're black, kids go through shifts in their consciousness. They become very confused by the overall darkness on the planet. And I know I have wanted to check out and tried quite a few times when I was younger. And it wasn't because I was gay. And so these stories that we feed of like, everybody's going to kill themselves because they're gay. And it doesn't mean that there haven't been some people that have, but it's not because they were gay that they killed themselves. There were underlying mental distresses that soul was suffering or moving through. And the gay just happened to be the label that was used, just like school shooters. It's like an entire predisposition of things that are happening inside of the psyche of that person that makes them unwell and a candidate for suicide. It is not because they're gay. That would mean that gayness is a sickness, and I don't believe that that's true. So if you do, then you might want to question, where, how, if you open that up a little bit more, you will see that there's a contamination that is being spread through the masses to purposely perpetuate fear and motivate you to be used and to profile you and to bring you into out of your sovereignty. Because if you're a powerful mama bear and you start to exert your will, then you'll be fighting on the front lines for something else, and then you've lost your sovereignty in the home of your own family. And if you give that over, then your teachers and your schools and everybody else will have more authority in your home than you. And our collective consciousness right now really needs parents to hold it down. And I want to also say, not even for your child, but for you, for your own soul's lessons here, we can't get off our seats. You don't, it's not a choice of your kid or you. It's always you hold the line and your child is enveloped in the love of you. So it's very precise, and I just, the way the darkness is manipulating and working, you have to really be able to peer through and perceive how it will abstract and make this massive illusion, and you just forfeit your power. It doesn't, the darkness doesn't come in and take it from you. Like, it's not like they put a knife at your head, but at the same time it feels like there's a knife, because for some reason the belief systems and the whispers that are coming through and everything that's happening collectively, it feels like it's a nightmare and that you don't have another choice, and the only right and respectful thing to do is to affirm and, you know, show up for your child in this way. And I just want to say that there's another way. You don't have to leave your throne. Your child needs you in stewardship. That's why you're their parent. And if you believe or feel like the incessant storyline of like, you need to grow, this is your issue because like everybody should be open to gayness, I just want to tell you, you live in a fantasy world, and not everybody needs to be open to shit. We are on a dual planet, and people can be open to it. Some people believe that gayness doesn't even exist, and it's a, you know, part of a mental process. Other people believe it's very scientific and you can read the chromosomes. There again, whatever you believe, it doesn't even matter. Just be true to whatever's happening in you. And if you're not, don't step out of who you are. And then the last piece, I think it's the last piece I'll say to you here, is propaganda is a sickness. Like, it is a way that we have used. We're not talking about sacred geometry, which is natural building blocks, you know, of life. We're talking about when flags are being used. This is a way of using mind control and using specific sequences of energies and colors and tactics to imprint on the psyche what it means to function or walk or to behave in a certain way. So we need to be free. So your children, I know because I raised one, they don't fart rainbows. Like, they just really don't. They're regular people just like you and just like me. And so when we create this distorted specialness, that like they're a victim class and that they need like special things, like they're not that special. They're just like you and me. We're all special in our own way. But they actually, the fear and the idea of like, it's a lie. Like, just be true to your nature and love and respect the people around you. Um, Making laws and forcing people with coercion and manipulation to think differently, it doesn't change the heart of the person. If you allow people to be human and live in their hearts, most people in any given situation will 9 times out of 10 show up in a way that is true and to their nature. I'm saying, in other words, not everybody wants to kill everybody. But when this dominance comes where you're like, I'm making laws that make it like that you have to like me, that I'm gonna be in your bathrooms, that I'm gonna do all these different things, like, you are using the same energy, the same tactics, the one when you're screaming about the patriarchy, when you're screaming about anti-life energy and how the world is so unjust. I want you to know that you are living literally inside of yourself in a world of injustice. And so the work to do is always within. And the work in our families, if all of these things are showing up in our families, it's because we have something that wants to be resolved, and there's a medicine that can be brought. The medicine isn't a surgery and removing and harming the physical body. which is so harmful to the earth as well, or pseudoscience, right? This is about embracing even more that which we are. And I'm not going to claim to know how to do that for you and your family, but I know that that is a result of love. And so I used to love rainbows, and now I still do love them because our rainbow body is a real thing. Again, it's like something that was so beautiful and so prolific and gorgeous has now been adapted into an ideology of like this: if you're gay, you wear this flag and you put your flag out on the front lawn, and in my family, in our family, we believe this. Who gives a shit what you believe? Like, why are you have to be able to look at, like, is this sincere? Why would you need to tell people how what you believe in? And why is it your job to make other people feel safe? It's the responsibility of every human. And people will feel safe if you're loving and kind and genuine, not because you're propagating ideas and ideologies that actually makes people feel unsafe. I feel pretty unsafe when people around me are lying, right? I know that that environment is a predatory environment because my discernment is now optimal. And I'm like, when I see Target and all of these major corporations exploiting and making money off of an entire group of people, it kind of hurts my mother heart. I'm not going to front. And yet I know that this is the way it is in this world, and there's nothing I can do about it. And no matter how much I get up and stomp my feet and scream and cry how people are being exploited, um, I just want you to understand that they have opened up a marketplace for your children and for all of the humans. That there was once one marketplace for the men and for the women, and you had your pink razors if you were a girl, and you had your blue razors if you're a boy. Well, since we are shattering all that, there is an entire new line of agenda, and this is a big high ticket item. This is surgery. This is mass reproduction. This is womb production. This is rainbows. And this, what's being used at like a civic level, is it's not then just targeting the people that are identifying in all these different ways and using a mechanism to brainwash so they become identified and glorified with being different. But it is also reaching out to the masses. It's fucking highly intelligent because now you and everybody you love is going to go out and twist twist a knife and go out and buy all these different shirts and t-shirts, and you're generating all this money, and that what 1% or 2% of people, it becomes a huge marketplace for the organizations, right? For corporate agenda. And so, of course, they want to keep pushing it. It's like a whole nother line. And those surgeries are for life, y'all. It is bankroll for the pharmaceuticals. And no matter what, your children becoming adults, if they're able to stay alive, they will be alive their entire lives living in a certain way, trapped in an identity instead of the full spiritual expression of who they are. This is real fucking deal. And I know it might upset you, but I mean it with so much love. We have the right. I change who I am like every day. I shed skin and become somebody else. I've been many, many things in this lifetime. Some I'm not so proud of, and they're still amazing, and more that I keep growing towards. So I just want you to know how this works. So you might think, again, I'm doing the right thing. God, I'm such a good person. I'm so inclusive. Yes, to the rainbow. But then when you look at how that rainbow is being used and how it's dominating and manipulating folks, it's a whole other issue. This is not about being Christian. Like, that's another hook that's being used. It's not about being Christian. The truth is, if people believe what they believe, they need to stand in that. That's sovereignty. Now, I don't agree with being mean to people, but holding your own and guarding your own den as a mother lion, oh yeah, you need to handle that. But this is not like there's just one group of Christians and gay people. There's people all over the world that are just not so interested in being indoctrinated. And that's what this is. This whole thing is a medical indoctrination at its heart. And it's exploiting some really confused and curious, beautiful beings who have a right to express and experience themselves in whatever way. And also, I just want to add, because it's true, it's entirely predatory. And we have to really, our sexuality is everything, and we can see how it is used. These dark energies, they need other people's life force energy to activate and to live through. They don't have that connection to their source anymore. So therefore, they must clinch onto something that is alive, and they need consent. So guess what, mom? When you step out because you love Dorothy or Bob, who are whatever they are that day, and you're no longer in a position to hold that authority, they swoop right in. And then there's a little something else there in your field, and it grows a little stronger, and it starts to entice you a little bit. You get a little bit more angry and a little bit more afraid. You march a little bit more. You wave your flag a little bit more. Next thing you know, there's drag queens at your kid's school, and you're fighting for drag queens, and you would never have done that 3 years ago. You would have never let somebody with silicone boobs dance around in front of your kid and wave their plastic dick. You just wouldn't have done it. And not because those people aren't wonderful, but they don't have a place in your home. And suddenly they do. Why is that? And then suddenly your child is moving through all this darkness, but they don't have an ally anymore. They don't have you to protect them anymore because that protection has been given away. Makes me a little sad. You can see I'm getting emotional about it. And so we all do this because we love our kids so much, but we don't offer away our authority to love our babies. We need to hold the line. Hold those kids so close to your heart and just trust that your love is enough. You don't have to evacuate. You don't have to. This is another, it's also part trauma, right? This codependency and this alliances. It's not just alliances with children, it's alliances with darkness. So not everybody will be able to hear this message and implement because they have some stuff they have to move. But I just wanted to say this lovingly and clearly. I hope that my message was clear. This is about 52 minutes in now, so I'm going to zip it. So I think you can hear the heart of the message is it's not, I just want you to see how it works so you can operate in your own home. However you do it, it's yours to do, and it's your walk, and it's other people's walk too. And whenever you're fighting outside of yourself, if it's in you, it's in your family unit, that's your business. You can never make the world more safe for your kids. The only way you can make the world more safe for your kids, it's not for pushing an agenda. It's not for forcing people to be gay or to want to, you know, to be part of gayness. It's by being safe in yourself, being true to yourself. Your children will, when you hold the light in your home and your life and you are in it, your children will have, and you're praying through that, it is very unlikely that things will go as awry as they could. Like if you just hold that principally, I'm telling you, it's much, much harder for anything to come into the family and soul snatch. Like, because you're modeling the behavior, you're modeling the light. It's less about your behavior and more about like your beingness, because it brings about a level of trust, a level of deep understanding of the psycho-spiritual warfare that's happening on the planet. And again, this has nothing to do with anybody being bad. It's actually about the exploitation of beautiful brothers and sisters who we love. So it's really from the freaking mama bear heart of like, what is true, what is not true. And you don't have to change your ideas or your scope for anybody. Not in the name of doing good work, not in the name of, changing the planet. If you want to change the planet, open your heart. That doesn't mean adapting to other people's principles. It doesn't mean stepping out and betraying yourself or leaving yourself. You can sit on your throne and contemplate, oh, is this person's ideas? And they all will have a bit of truth in them. So you have to be so careful. I've had to be, and I've learned a great many lessons in stepping off that throne. So please no. But You have to really be able to be like, oh, okay, it's true. I totally want peace for all people. I want my kids, I want everybody to be inclusive, but I don't really have that authority in me. And it's not my job to push that on anybody else. This could also be attributed with race, but that's another story for another day. So, anyway, I'll conclude by saying, mothers and fathers, this is big, big stuff. My heart goes out to you. This is big stuff for your kids. It doesn't maybe have to be as big for them if we can hold the light in our own homes, honor, respect, not fighting against, but just being like super, super clear, honoring what is happening and being present with love. The rest will come into place with rightful prayer and connection and all the things. I say rightful prayer because I mean like not worry prayer. Like, okay, come on, like I want total success for my kids. I want total love and connection for my kids. I want them to be sourced. I want them to be sound. I want them to be true to their nature. I mean, these are super powerful prayers to imbue your children with, right? I want them to have incredible loving sex lives when they get older. I want them to have experience deep love. I want whatever it is that you want to bless your kids with from this position in the queen or the king throne. You can do that. You step off that throne, I don't know who you're praying to, because you need to be on the throne for your prayer to be heard. Like, really. Do I want to revise that? No, I mean it spiritually speaking. It doesn't mean that the divine won't hear me, but I'm not begging then, and I'm doing things from a place of sovereignty. And we want to operate in sovereignty. You got to model that. So, big hugs, and I wanted to say fingers crossed, but just all the love to you and your families. And I do have spiritual counseling services available now. And again, it's like zero propaganda from me, just love. Like, what are you moving through? What are you experiencing? I'm here. I can hear all the stuff. It's all good. There's no judgment for me about all the things that you're feeling or sensing or wanting to say, but you feel like it's not appropriate because it's bad or wrong. It's okay. It's totally okay. And I know you just want to love your kids. And so let's be really fucking honest about what that looks like. And I won't put you in a box. I just want to free people from the boxes. You have to free yourself. But I will hopefully model that piece of freedom for you. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you.